and welcome in to this, our stream for March the 8th in the year 20,325. I'm the Deaf Writer, captain of the starship Pentameter. A year ago I was kidnapped and transported 1 billion light years into space. For reasons unknown, deep thought, an alien intelligence that survives in deep space presented me with a starship and told me to seek my destiny, whatever that might be. It turns out my kidnapping occurred just as a monumental disaster struck my homeworld, and I'm now the last human being alive, seeking to preserve human culture by broadcasting poetry into the galaxy once a week. An empty, barren landscape. That's what we found where a thriving Krell colony was supposed to be. Krell Outpost 21372 has, to all intents and purposes, vanished out of existence. The only thing we were able to find was an empty and abandoned mine. There is literally no sign that any civilization has ever touched this remote planet aside from the mine. We got into the mine yesterday, and I thought it might be a good place from which to broadcast our show. Then we discovered a chamber that the miners must have broken through to. Additional. We recently encountered a species of musical underground dwelling aliens. The music was truly breathtaking. One could say that the mole creatures really dig it.
Hello, it's X-37 here, the synthetic first mate. Our journey through space has taken us to many unusual places where we have seen many unusual life forms. We recently visited a planet whose inhabitants have 2 skulls, one atop the other. They were very arrogant, feeling they were ahead, above the rest. My captain is the last human being in the galaxy. Following the destruction of his home planet with the incredibly boring name of Earth, we have been drifting through space on the starship Pentameter, reciting poems and avoiding the enforcers of the galaxy-spanning Krell Empire, along with their bounty hunters that see the last human as a specimen to be placed in the Krell's Imperial Zoo. Right now, we are preparing to broadcast from inside a mine where Krell Outpost 21372 recently disappeared. This is the mine, which for today doubles as my lab. To pass the time, I employ my planet-sized intellect solving the galaxy's most pressing scientific dilemmas.
You're supposed to be setting up the broadcast space, X-37, not conducting any of your weird experiments. I'm sick of having to repair damaged equipment.
No, everything is fine. You banned me from doing any more experiments, remember?
All right.
Heh, sucker. Right now, I've brought an irradiated mushroom into the cave. His name is Dave. I like his company. He's a fun guy. Uh-oh, something's wrong. I think I'd better duck.
What in deep space happened here? X-37, I thought you said you weren't conducting any more experiments.
I'm sorry I can't hear you. Some com glitch.
Just bring up the interface. 3, 2, 1, and welcome in. Hello and welcome to the show. We are currently broadcasting from a mine near the vanished colony of Krell Outpost 21372. I'm the Deaf Writer, and no matter what your species, number of heads, or planet of origin, you are all very welcome here. In other news, a diplomatic feud has erupted between the Radical faction of the Widmark people. The Radical faction of the Lidmark people and the Monsumian trading fleet. Their ambassador has lodged a formal protest at being left at a garden supplies store after asking to be taken to their weeder. Other news, we achieved affiliate this week, so that's really exciting. This week we are now an official Twitch affiliate, which allows us to do a whole bunch of fun things. So that's something for us to celebrate. Yay! 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 We've also got a bunch of emotes as part of... I think we've got some kind of animal somewhere nearby. Can't do anything about it though. Wow, that's really loud. Moving right on. The show must go on despite the interruption of peculiar alien life forms. Yes, we've got some new emotes that have been added. We have channel points now, which I'm hoping that some of you guys will be willing to suggest some ideas for what we could do with the channel points. Generally, therefore, you earn channel points just by watching the show, and then you can spend those channel points on doing fun things, like making things appear on the screen or generating sounds, all kinds of stuff. So any suggestions that you might have, we want to capture those today. So add them to the chat, let us know. The other fun thing we've been doing this last week has been generating some trading cards. You'll remember last week and the week before we were talking about how wouldn't it be great to have some trading cards for poets. So this week I've been busy doing some drawing, and here are some trading cards. Edgar Allan Poe, William Shakespeare, and J.R.R. Tolkien, all suggested by visitors to the program. So if you would like to see a trading card of your own for, please let us know in the chat what your preferred poet is, and I will see if I can generate a trading card for you. Let's see, where are we up to? A few rules apply to this stream, so maybe I'll jump in there and get that out of the way. We have some simple rules here. Please be kind when visiting this stream. Be respectful. Keep the language clean. We welcome kids and families to our streams. Don't ask for or give away personal information. Don't spam our commands. Don't spam or promote yourself to other viewers unless you've spoken to me first. Be curious and willing to join in, and if possible, take a role within our universe. That last one is not compulsory, but any of the others, we will unfortunately have to ban people who violate those rules. We also have a number of commands that are available to our visitors to engage and interact with other members of our stream. The W commands, exclamation point W commands will list all our commands in the chat for you. Exclamation point SL shows the poetry request list. Exclamation point W applause allows you to applaud our poems as you hear them. Exclamation point W on fire plays fire. Exclamation point W party will show our celebratory sound and party thing. Exclamation point W wow plays a wow, cool a cool, amazing puts up an amazing on the screen. There are some other commands that are really fun as well. You can hug one of the other members of the stream. You can throw another member of the screen. You can attack, you can sling, and you can even drop a bomb. All of which are fun little interactions that you can engage in as part of today's stream. Back we come. Let's have a tour of our screen. You can see the chat directly on screen over here. Some of the commands should become point rewards, which would also save you from needing to remember what to type for them. Thank you, Robotham J. Robotham J is one of my marvelous mods and is here in the stream today. He's a cyborg from the planet Argaray. Thanks for dropping by. And yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you for that. We also have on our stream our magnificent pun-o-meter. If you add any puns to the chat, I will reward those puns with stars on our pun-o-meter, and it's always fun to see if we can get 5 stars on the pun-o-meter. This week, our featured poet is Mr. C.J. Dennis, an Australian poet who is considered one of the big 3 in Australian poetry, alongside Banjo Paterson and Henry Lawson, with whom he actually collaborated from time to time. The song list is also visible to anyone. I'll get Tim Tam. Hello, Tim Tam. Welcome in, Tim Tam. Tim Tam is my other mod, and a brilliant mod he is too. So welcome in, Timothy, from the robot planet of Ix. Great to see you this morning. If one of my mods could put in the song list command to make it appear for folks, it will produce a link that allows people to connect to our song list. And we must have a little bit of lag today. Request status is on. Oh, there it is. It's a little bit further up in the chat. Streamer song list is there. If you follow that link, you will see the following. Oh, something has gone wrong. Failed to log in. That'd be right. It was all working just before, I promise. Well, I will try again in just a second. What can you do when the technology bails on you? So we're going to zoom out of there. And no, that wasn't right either. Go back to our main page. There we are, back at our main page. Go off screen. You just need to press the Twitch button. I do, but I'm not actually understanding what it's looking at because my screen is actually logged in. So let's try that again and see if it works this time. No. Because I can't reach that screen. It's a virtual screen. Never mind. For the second week in a row, I'm not getting that screen up. What a shame. I will have to work otherwise. You can also see the poetry list up here on our screen as well, and could just display a screenshot in the future. That would be a good idea. Maybe I should do that. Very much so. Anyway, if you happen to be lurking today, please consider giving us a follow on this channel. It could be a bit light on for visitors today because stupidly I forgot to advertise the show this week. And it's quite possible that most of my regulars might think it's not happening, which is a disappointment. But if you happen to be out there, please consider giving us a follow. It is an interesting day here. You see, we found something in this cave, something that is really rather interesting. Over to my right, you can see a large area containing some ancient alien ruins. Somehow the miners must have broken through to that space, and we're a little concerned to wonder if perhaps that has something to do with the disappearance of our Krell colony. But now it's time to get into our poems proper. So I'll bring the panels back. We'll remove our base screen and we'll find our way to our first poem for the day. So let's get underway. Our first poem for the day is The Invitation to Dinner. Our official, unofficial theme poem for the show. Invitation to Dinner. Coming up. The Invitation to Dinner, written back in the dim dark ages of 1999 by yours truly, the Deaf Writer. It occurred to me that poetry and food is something that should be enjoyed and savoured with some wine. And so I ask you out to dine with friends, of course, and I, your host, will beg your company the most. For were you to absent yourself, there's not enough of worldly wealth to compensate me for the grief of losing your good company. And that was our opening poem, The Invitation to Dinner. Thank you so much for listening to that one. Let's see, what is our... our second poem today is Introduction to Ginger Mick by C.J. Dennis, our featured poet. So let's jump back and have a look at C.J. Dennis's Introduction to Ginger Mick. Introduction to Ginger Mick, written in 1916 by C.J. Dennis. Just to introduce me cobber, and his name is Ginger Mick, a rowdy boy, a naughty boy with rude impressions thick in his casual conversation and the wicked sort of face that gives the sudden shudders to the law-abiding race. His name is on the records at the Melbourne City Court for doing things and saying things no real nice fella ought. And his name is on the records of the army over there for doing things, same sort of things that rose the bench's air. They never rung no joy bells when he made his first debut, but he got free education, which they fondly shoved him through, then turned him loose in Spadger's Lane to hang around the street and help the cop to realise the hardness of his beat. Then he quickly dropped his H's so as not to be mistook for an educated person who his cobbers reckoned crook. But he had his trick with fingers that'd make a clerk look sick. And there should be another line there that ends in Ginger Mick. A bloke can't be particular who must battle for a crust, and some they pinch for preference, and some because they must. When times is hard and some swell coves is richer than they ought, well, it's just a little gamble for a rise agin the court. Now, Mick was never in it as a real professional cook, but sometimes cops as slabs of luck, so sometimes he was took. And he got a reputation through him being twice interned. But he didn't skite about it 'cause he felt it wasn't earned. I recollect one time a beak slings Mick a slab of guff. With 30 days or 40 bob, Mick couldn't raise the stuff, and asks him where in conscience is and why we can't be good, and Mick just grins and takes it out and never understood. And that is all there was to Mick with all his leery ways. If I was up among the heads with right to blame or praise, whenever some rich bloke as him was tucked away for good, another line is missing here, and that's the way it stood. If I was up among the heads with right to judge the game, I'd look around for chance to praise and sling the flamin' blame. For finding things in blokes to praise pays divvies either way, and what they're blamed for yesterday It brings 'earty cheers today. Yes, 'earty cheers from thoughtless coots who feel dead sure their God would never have no time for crooks who does a stretch in quad, who reckon heaven is a place where all folks talk correct, and judgment where the vulgar gets it solid in the neck. And Ginger Mick was vulgar. Struth, when things was getting slow, he took to orkin' rabbits, which is very, very low. He was the sort of bloke to watch when he came in your gate. He had a nasty fighting face that all nice people hate. There's men who never knew old Mick and passed him in the street and looks away and says, "See him? A nasty chap to meet." He'd be an ugly customer alone and after dark, and Mick, he'd twitch his jaw at them, half earnest, half a lark. That was the sort of character that Mick earned be his looks. The talk of him, the walk of him, put him among the crooks. And Mick, he looks on swank and style as just a lot of flam, and snouted them that snouted him, and never gave a damn. But spite of all his hulking frame and language flowing free, I seen the thing inside of Mick that made him good to me. And spite of all the sneering ways that leery blokes employ, I knew him just for what he was, a big, soft-hearted boy. For when a bloke has come to be real cobbers with a bloke, they sort of swap good fellowship without words being spoke. I never slung no guff to Mick, he never smooged to me, but we could smoke and hold our own jaw and be real company. There has been times that he would curse to have recalled by me, when I have seen him doing things that covs call charity. And then there's been times, and frequent times, in spite of all his looks, when I have heard him saying things that blokes shoves into books. But Ginger Mick was Ginger Mick, a leery boy for keeps, who owled wild rabby in the streets in tones that gave you creeps. He never planned his mode of life, nor chose the lane for lair, no more than he designed his chiv or coloured of his hair. So Ginger awked and Ginger pinched and Ginger went to quad, and never thought to waste his time in blaming man or God. And then there came the call of Stoush or Judy, what's her name, and Ginger cooked his ear to it and found his flamin' game. And that was the introduction to Ginger Mick by C.J. Dennis. I hope you enjoyed hearing that one. It's a bit of a jaw cracker to try and speak, but it is a good poem. Let's see. Our first request of the day appears to be "Because I Could Not Stop for Death," requested by, if I can bring up the list, requested by, nope, I can't bring up the list. So I'm going to guess that it was requested by Robotham J. There it is. Robotham J requested Emily Dickinson's "I Could Not Stop for Death." So let's jump forward and find "Because I Could Not Stop for Death," our first request of the day. "Because I Could Not Stop for Death," written in 1890 by Emily Dickinson. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labour and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews grew quivering and chill. For only gossamer my gown, my tippet only twill. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horse's head were turned toward eternity. And that was Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. Hello, it looks like we've got some visitors. Welcome in if we haven't seen you before. Feel free to say hi in the chat. You're very welcome here. Lovely to see you. And let's head back here. We've got some facts to present on C.J. Dennis, our featured poet of the day. So why don't I switch across and let X37 introduce us to some great facts.
Hi there. While you're selecting a poetry request, I thought I'd tell you some interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. Clarence Michael James Stanislaus Dennis, better known as C.J. Dennis, was an Australian poet known for his humorous poems, especially the Songs of a Sentimental Bloke, published in the early 20th century. Together with Banjo Paterson and Henry Lawson, both of whom he had collaborated with, he is often considered among Australia's 3 most famous poets. C.J. Dennis was born in Auburn, South Australia. His father owned hotels in Auburn and then later in Gladstone and Laura. His mother suffered ill health, so Clary, as he was known, was raised initially by his great aunts, then went away to school, Christian Brothers College, Adelaide, as a teenager.
Thanks for that. X37, wonderful to hear from you. I've got a question to place to the chat. Poems often aim to create images that stick in the mind. What are some of the poems that have succeeded in doing this for you? What are your favourite poetic images? Why don't you share that in the chat? Let us know what you think, and identify some poems for us or poetic imagery that you particularly like. Just going to remind you folks about the request list that we have on the show. Please jump in and request some poems. The list is quite extensive. We have 159 poems at present. Robotham J, Lady Lazarus and Lenore both do that. Ozymandias really does that. Yes, they are great poems for their imagery. So thank you. One thing I would like to do, since Robotham J appeared here, Robotham J has produced for this channel a video game, and it's pretty fun. I'm going to show the trailer for that video. just now. It's very short, so hang in there for just a moment. And this can be picked up for free at the address that Robotham J is going to place in the chat for us. There it is, https robothamj.itch.io space escape. Take a look at this. This is brilliant. Poetry Quest is the name of the game and involves our little ship, the starship Pentameter, making its way through numerous stages, trying to escape the evil Krell who are hot on its trail. Brilliant little game, just a casual game, a pickup game that anybody can play. And if you give us a follow, then you too may pick this game up for free. So I hope you do that, and I hope you enjoy it. It's a rather brilliant game from our rather brilliant mod, Robotham J. And I will switch back to where we were before. Back in again. Hi folks, thanks for sticking around.
Hello? It is I, X37. I have a joke.
Oh yeah? What's your joke?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
I am.
I am who?
Don't you even know who you are? Ah.
That was awful, X37. That was terrible. Okay, let's get back to our poem list. We're going to do our second set, and it includes a poem by our featured poet. That was truly bad. Yes, it was, Tim Tam. Yes, it was. It was truly awful. Behold my fancy text, Robotham J. Ah, you're using some of the text features. Well done. So let's take a look at our second CJ Dennis poem. This one is called Armistice, to my dead cobber, from the Sentimental Bloke, another Australian poem presented for your enjoyment. Armistice, to his dead cobber from the Sentimental Bloke, 1927. I'm sitting here, Mick, sitting here today, feeling half glum, half sorta reverent, thinking strange crooked thoughts of how they say the Eds is bowed through all a continent, and wondering in a kind of doubt if other covs is feeling like I do, trying to figure what it's all about, and if it's meaning anything to you. Silence, the hour strikes soon through all the land, and Ed's bend low, old mate, give me your hand. Silence for you, Mick, and for blokes like you, to mark the day you never knew. The day you never knew nor we forget. I can't tell why I'm sitting here this way, scrawling a message that you'll never get. Or will you? I don't know, it's hard to say. Perhaps you'll know all about it where you are, and think, well, they ain't too bad a lot, and tell them other digs up on your star that now or never more they ain't forgot. Silence, not here alone, Mick, everywhere. In city and in country Eds are bare, and in this room it seems as if I knew some friend who came, old cobber. Is it you? Me heart is full, Mick. 'Struth, I ain't the bloke, as you well know, to get all soft and wet. Fair's fair, lad. Times I've known when you have spoke like you was tough and hard as hell, and yet something behind your bluff and swagger bold showed all them nasty sentiments were kid. It was that thing inside you, lad, what told. It made you go on and do the thing you did. Silence. There's mothers, Mick, you never knew. No mother, but they're praying for you too. In every art, the boys are there. The boys, that very name, lad, is a prayer. The boys, old Cobber, I can see 'em still. The drums are rollin' in the sunlight gleams. On bayonets, men are marchin' with a will, on to the glory of their boyhood's dreams. Glory? You never found it that too much. But lad, you stuck it with the rest. And if your bearin' had no soulful touch, 'twas for our souls that you went marchin' west. Silence. The children too, Mick, little kids, are standin' not because their teacher bids. They've knew no war, but they have stopped their play because they know, they feel it is the day. So may it be through all the comin' years, but sorrow's gone, lad, it's not what we know. The sobbin's past, old Cobber, and the tears, and well we understand you'd have it so. But something deeper far than that has come, something a mind can't get within its bound, something I can't explain. A man is dumb when he thinks. Listen, hear the bugles sound. Silence. Well, Mick, old cock, I dunno why I've wrote. It's just to ease a thing inside what says. Sit down, you sloppy coot, and write a note to that old Cobber of the olden days. He'll know for sure, he'll know. So lad, it's done. Work's waitin' and a man can't get it wrong. Our goal is still ahead, but yours is won. That's the one thing we know, lad. And so long. Silence. It's over, Mick, so there you are. I know you're happy up there on your star. Believe us, lad, that star shall never fall, while one is left to say, God keep 'em all. And that was Armistice. To My Dead Cobber from The Sentimental Bloke by C.J. Dennis. Let's see what's been happening in the chat. Having a quick look. Some fancy text and a fair bit of playing with the jump game. Good to see, fellas. I'm glad you're enjoying yourselves. Let me bring that back up and make sure it's all set up properly. We have an explainer coming up. More information about the poet C.J. Dennis. So here's the explainer number 2, introduced by X37.
Hello again. While you're selecting a poetry request, I thought I'd tell you some more interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. C.J. Dennis left school at 17, becoming a junior clerk at an Adelaide stock and station agency and wool buying firm, but was discharged for reading H. Rider Haggard during working hours. At 19, he published his first verse in the Laura Standard, and other early verse, including Snakes, appeared in the Register and the Evening Journal Adelaide. Dennis worked as a freelance journalist from 1908 and was well respected for his work with the Melbourne Herald. While engaged in this work, he developed an alcohol addiction that dogged him for the rest of his life.
Thanks for that, X37. Let's have a look at what other poetry requests we have. It looks like we have a poem there, Mending Wall, requested by Robotham J. So let's have a look at Mending Wall. Mending Wall, which I believe is by Robert Frost. Or was it? Was it Robert Browning? No, it was Robert Frost. I got it right the first time. Here we go. The Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs, the gaps I mean. No one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbour know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are loaves and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side it comes to little more. There where it is we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbours. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbours? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offence. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top, in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only, and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbours. And that was Mending Wall by Robert Frost for Robotham J. Let's see what's been happening in the chat. So, let's get that back. And go in here. Yipes. We seem to be going backwards and forwards in the toggle. There we go. There we are. What's been happening in the chat? Tim Tam requested The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Excellent. And Tim Tam has an idea for a channel point reward. Spend channel points to make you say a poem in a silly voice. Well, you don't have to actually... there isn't much you have to do to get me to do that, I'm afraid. I'm pretty easy to get to use funny voices whenever I may. But yeah, that's a great idea. I think that we might look into doing that. Did the message look highlighted? Yes, it did. It did indeed. And Robotham J says, might as well charge for it. Okay, so we've had our second poem request. Let's see. Yes, we're up to a third poem, a second poem request from this one. The viewer could pick the voice. Okay. I could do a German voice. I could do a French voice. I can do a reasonable Scottish voice. And I can also do a cobbery voice that's very Australian, mate. So I could do a few different voices, I guess. That's a good idea. I like it. Let's see, what is our poem that's been requested? It's The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. So let's jump in and do The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson, 1851. And here we go. Alfred Lord Tennyson, The Eagle. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls, he watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. And that was The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson for Tim Tam. Thank you for that request, Tim Tam. And let's go back to our main screen. I have another question for our chat. Are there poems or songs that you would like to see adapted into movies or TV shows? If so, what are they? What are they? I'd be interested to know. Inquiring minds must know. We also need a third poetry request. So, excellent. The Song of the Mischievous Dog by Dylan Thomas. Let's have a look at this one. The Song of the Mischievous Dog by Dylan Thomas. And there it is, The Song of the Mischievous Dog. Let's bring it up for selection today. The Song of the Mischievous Dog by Dylan Thomas, written in 1925, while he was still at school, as it happens. There are many who say that a dog has its day and a cat has a number of lives. There are those who think that a lobster is pink and that bees never work in their hives. There are fewer, of course, who insist that a horse has a horn and two humps on its head. And a fellow who jests that a mare can build nests is as rare as a donkey that's red. Yet in spite of all this, I have moments of bliss, for I cherish a passion for bones. And though doubtful of biscuit, I'm willing to risk it, and I love to chase rabbits and stones. But my greatest delight is to take a good bite at a calf that is plump and delicious. And if I indulge in a bite at a bulge, let's hope you won't think me too vicious. And that was The Song of the Mischievous Dog by Dylan Thomas for Robotham J. Thank you for that request, Robotham J. Let's return to our scene. Let's see what's happening in the chat. The fall of the House of Usher has been and was excellent. Yes, but it wasn't really a poem, though. Fall of the House of Usher is a story. Most of my suggestions would be Poe and are already taken care of because of it. Fair enough. I have another idea for a channel points redeem. X37 reads the poem out. Oh, I like that one too. I can imagine a poem being read by X37. I should mention, folks, that I do have a Discord channel where you can come along and join in conversation. There are also a bunch of resources there. We have a link to our channel game, The Marvelous Poetry Quest, built by Robotham J. But we also have a book of poems that you can download in PDF format that would allow you to read along with our poems here as we do them on the show. So, what shall we do next?
Hello, it is I. Whoops. Uh-oh. It is I. X37. I've got a new joke. Knock, knock.
Okay, who's there?
Amish.
Amish who?
Funny, you don't look like a shoe. I'm a shoe. That's terrible.
That's so bad. That's so awful. Well, let's get on with our poems. We have a couple of poems left in the list. Our featured poet today, his last poem that we're going to take a look at is the Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. C.J. Dennis, the Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. And a fun poem this one is too. The Trianti-Wanti Gongolope was written in 1921 by C.J. Dennis. I should point out that I do a lot of original art to illustrate these poems. And in this case, that was my attempt at drawing the Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. And I also do little portraits of the poets themselves as part of the show. Well, let's have a look at the Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. There's a very funny insect that you do not often spy, and it isn't quite a spider, and it isn't quite a fly. It's something like a beetle and a little like a bee, but nothing like a woolly grub that climbs upon a tree. Its name is quite a hard one, but you'll learn it soon, I hope. So try, Trianti-Wanti, Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. It lives on weeds and wattle gum and has a funny face. Its appetite is hearty, and its manners a disgrace. When first you come upon it, it will give you quite a scare. But when you look for it again, you find it isn't there, and unless you call it softly, it will stay away and mope. So try, Trianti-Wanti, Trianti-Wanti Gongolope. It trembles if you tickle it or tread upon its toes. It's not an early riser, but it has a snubbish nose. If you sneer at it or scold it, it will scuttle off in shame. But it purrs and purrs quite proudly. if you call it by its name, and offer it some sandwiches of sealing wax and soap. So try Anti-Wanty, Gongolope. But of course you haven't seen it, and I truthfully confess that I haven't seen it either, and I don't know its address. For there isn't such an insect, though there really might have been, if the trees and grass were purple and the sky was bottle green. It's just a little joke of mine which you'll forgive, I hope. So try Anti-Wanty, Gongolope. And that was the Anti-Wanty Gongolope by C.J. Dennis, our last featured poem of the day. Let's see what we have in our poetry list. I hope we've got a couple of other poems there. Looks like somebody, Robotham J, has requested The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. A good one to have a look at. But before we do that, let's have our final explainer of the day, brought to us by X37.
Hi again. While you're all selecting some last poems for the show, I thought I'd tell you some more interesting facts from my colossal storage and retrieval system. The Songs of the Sentimental Bloke was published in October 1915. 12 of the 14 poems had appeared in the bulletin since 1909. It was an immediate success, requiring 3 editions in 1915, 9 in 1916, and 3 in 1917. By 1976, 57 editions had been published in Australia, England, the United States of America, and Canada, covering 285,000 copies. Dennis considered his best work to be The Glugs of Gosh in 1917. However, the veiled political and economic satirical verse was lost on the public and was not a commercial success. When he died at the age of 61, the Prime Minister of Australia, Joseph Lyons, suggested that C.J. Dennis was destined to be remembered as the Australian Robert Burns.
Thanks for that, X37. Much appreciated. Let's take a look at what we have in the request list. We have The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. So let's take a look at The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Uh-oh. That didn't work. I must have missed. Now I've gone too far. Previous. Rondon. Previous. The New Colossus. Let's try that again. Aha! Got it this time. The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Written in 1883, and you can see there some original art of mine. The Statue of Liberty. The New Colossus was written about the Statue of Liberty. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles, from her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbour that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me, and lift my lamp beside the golden door. And that was The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus for Robotham J. Thank you for the request, Robotham J. We'll make our way back in here. Yep. We have a new discussion question that may be of interest to you. Last week, we added another famous poet to our trading card collection. We added J.R.R. Tolkien. But who else deserves a trading card? List them to the chat. I want to create some more trading cards, so why don't you suggest a poet or two that you like, that you would like to see added to a trading card on the show? What's our third? What's this? Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath. Okay. Robotham J, we will attempt to add Sylvia Plath to our trading card collection. That's a great suggestion. So I'll try and do that during the week. What else have we got here? Is Poe on there? Yes, Poe is our very first. You can see them here. We have Edgar Allan Poe, we have William Shakespeare, we have J.R.R. Tolkien. From next week, hopefully, we will have Sylvia Plath and anyone else that you might want to request at this point. I'll pop that back. There we go. Let's have a look at Forgiveness, the poem by A.A. Milne for Tim Tam, who has requested it. So let's jump to A.A. Milne's Forgiveness, otherwise known as Alexander Beetle. Written in 1927 by Mr. A.A. Milne. And you can see my attempt at a portrait of A.A. Milne there. Here we go. I found a little beetle, so that Beetle was his name, and I called him Alexander, and he answered just the same. I put him in a matchbox and I kept him all the day. And Nanny let my beetle out. Yes, Nanny let my beetle out. She went and let my beetle out. And Beetle ran away. She said she didn't mean it, and I never said she did. She said she wanted matches and she just took off the lid. She said that she was sorry, but it's difficult to catch an excited sort of beetle you've mistaken for a match. She said that she was sorry and I really mustn't mind, and there's lots and lots of beetles which she's certain we could find if we looked about the garden for the holes where beetles hid, and we'd get another matchbox and write Beetle on the lid. We went to all the places where a beetle might be near, and we made the sort of noises which a beetle likes to hear. And I saw a kind of something, and I gave a sort of shout. A beetle house. and Alexander Beetle coming out. It was Alexander Beetle, I'm as certain as can be, and he had a sort of look as if he thought it might be me. And he had a sort of look as if he thought he ought to say, I'm very, very sorry that I tried to run away. And Nanny's very sorry too, for you know what she did. And she's writing Alexander very blackly on the lid. So Nan and me are friends because it's difficult to catch an excited Alexander you've mistaken for a match. And that was Forgiveness, otherwise known as Alexander Beetle, for Timothy. Thank you very much for that request. I'd like to promote another streamer today. So let's look at promoting. I'm going to suggest we promote Patrick White today, a good friend of mine who streams also on Twitch. And doesn't appear to have his show on display. So much for getting Patrick to show up. What a shame. Let's try Tonecaster instead. And that's not working as well. I've had a bad day with these things. Okay. Perhaps Paul the Entertainer will be available. No, none of my trailers are available right now. That is very frustrating indeed. But there are lots of people on Twitch. You should all try to check them out. Particularly Patrick White, who I intended to feature today. Apologies to Patrick that didn't work out. Let's see, what else do we have that we can do today?
Hello, it is I, X37. I've got another joke. Uh-oh.
Oh dear. Let's see. What is it this time?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Chickens.
Chickens who?
No. Chickens cluck. Owls go who.
Oh, not good. Not good. Let's move on. We have the opportunity to do 3 more poems to finish the day. So let's see. Death Be Not Proud has been added to the list. So Death Be Not Proud. Why don't I jump in and find Death Be Not Proud by John Donne. A sonnet by John Donne. Death Be Not Proud by John Donne. Requested by... who requested this one? I can't see. I can see Puppy and I. Perhaps if you requested this one, you'd just pop in the chat that it was you that requested it? No, it's not. It's not. I've just realised what I've done. Glitching away. So we're going to do Puppy and I instead. Puppy and I by A.A. Milne. So here we go. Here's Puppy and I by A. Milne. Toggling through. And while I do Puppy and I, consider adding one last poem to the list, and that will finish us off for the day. Puppy and I by A. Milne, again, looking at some original art and also Mr. Milne's portrait. It was written in 1927, and this one will have been requested by Robotham J. I met a man as I went walking. We got talking, man and I. Where are you going to, man? I said to the man as he went by. Down to the village to get some bread. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met a horse as I went walking. We got talking, horse and I. Where are you going to, horse, today? I said to the horse as he went by. Down to the village to get some hay. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met a woman as I went walking. We got talking, woman and I. Where are you going to, woman, so early? I said to the woman as she went by. Down to the village to get some barley. Will you come with me? No, not I. I met some rabbits as I went walking. We got talking, rabbits and I. Where are you going in your brown fur coats? I said to the rabbits as they went by. Down to the village to get some oats. Will you come with us? No, not I. I met a puppy as I went walking. We got talking, puppy and I. Where are you going this nice fine day? I said to the puppy as he went by. Up to the hills to roll and play. I'll come with you, puppy, said I. And that was Puppy and I, requested by Robotham J, written by A. Milne. Jumping back in, we have one more poem to do today, or at least room for one more request. So if you would like to request a poem, I'd be thrilled to hear from you in that regard. So please add a poem, otherwise I'll pick one myself. Let's see.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yes, X-37?
I think we're about to get a visit from Deep Thought.
As usual, the timing is terrible.
Don't shoot the messenger. I just thought you should know.
Oh dear. Well, before he arrives, I think we'll get at least one more poem out of the way. And I think I will pick one for myself, since we don't seem to have any more requests coming in at this point. I'm going to do Casabianca by Felicia Jimenez, requested by a friend of mine who wasn't able to be here today, Jack Ward. Written in 1826. Oops. That was not what I wanted to have happen. I'm doing some great glitching today. Felicia Jimenez. Where are you? There you are. Felicia Jimenez. Casabianca, written in 1826. The boy stood on the burning deck, whence all but he had fled. The flames that lit the battle's wreck shone round him o'er the dead. Yet beautiful and bright he stood, as born to rule the storm, a creature of heroic blood, a proud though childlike form. The flames rolled on, he would not go without his father's word. That father faint in death below, his voice no longer heard. He called aloud, "Say, father, say, if yet my task is done." He knew not that the chieftain lay unconscious of his son. "Speak, Father," once again he cried, "if I may yet be gone." And but the booming shots replied, the fast the flames rolled on. Upon his brow he felt their breath, and in his waving hair, and looked from that lone post of death in still yet brave despair, and shouted once more aloud, "My father, must I stay?" While o'er him fast through sail and shroud the wreathing fires made way. They wrapped the ship in splendour wild, they caught the flag on high, and streamed above the gallant child like banners in the sky. There came a burst of thunder sound, the boy, oh, where was he? And of the winds that far around with fragments strewed the sea, with mast and helm and pennon fair, that well had borne their part, but the noblest thing which perished there was that young faithful heart. And that was Casabianca by Felicia Hemans, chosen by me, the deaf writer. And we are back here. And I'm just having an itch in my eye. What a terrible place to get an itch. Let's see, what's up next?
Hello, mortal. It is I, Deep Thought, the greatest intellect in the universe.
Good grief, are you going to interrupt my show again?
This is a request show, is it not?
Well, yes.
Then, as I keep telling you, I'm not interrupting anything, and you need to learn some manners.
All right, what do you want?
I'm here for a poem, of course.
What is it this time?
I wish to hear a poem on death.
Really? That's a bit maudlin, isn't it?
I've never been a morning person.
That was terrible. I think you should leave those up to X37 myself. So, what's the poem?
Death Be Not Proud by John Donne.
Ah, it was you that added that one. It's also a good poem.
On a great subject. You should investigate that subject more fully sometime.
Oh, thank you very much. Here's your poem. Let's see. Moving another page forward. John Donne, Death Be Not Proud. Death Be Not Proud, a sonnet by John Donne. Written in 1633. Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou think'st thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance kings and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. And that was Death Be Not Proud. A metaphysical poem by John Donne. Thank you for choosing that one, Deep Thought. But having read your poem, I'd like you to answer a question for me. If you will. Dang it. Yes, are you there, Deep Thought?
Assuredly.
I'm glad to hear it. And you are not responding the way you should. I'm glad to hear it. So, about my question.
My colossal intellect has already divined what you wish to know. Giraffes are 30 times more likely to be hit by lightning than people.
That wasn't what I was going to ask.
It wasn't? Are you sure?
I'm quite sure.
Oh well, what do you want to know?
What are the ruins inside this cave?
What ruins?
Just look for yourself.
That is a Raceland beacon.
A what?
Ancient technology belonging to a race that existed over 30,000 years ago.
What happened to them?
You didn't touch anything in there, did you?
No.
Well, it looks like someone did. I'm leaving.
Wait, tell me what it is first. Damn it! Uh-oh, what's this? Those robots, where are they going? They look like they're heading for the pyramid. Whoa.
Did you see that, Captain?
I did, but I'm not sure what I was looking at.
The pyramid is transmitting something.
Can you translate it or find where it's being transmitted to?
I can't understand it, but I can perhaps figure out its destination.
Good. I think we need to look inside that pyramid.
I think that would be a bad idea, and that we should leave. Now, before something bad happens.
We don't know anything about where the colony disappeared to. We have to stay. And that's the first sign of life we've seen.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. In the meantime, let's cut to the credits. Hi folks, here are our credits. The original poems that you heard today were by the deaf writer and are copyright and cannot be used without permission. All other poetry is in the public domain. The artwork on the site is licensed by Envato, GameDeveloperStudios.com or Microsoft. Poem illustrations are original works created by the deaf writer and subject to copyright, as are the images used in the creation of the trading cards, and also the shout-out figures that appear in the show are copyright as well. All sounds are licensed from Envato. The recording of Gymnopody is provided royalty-free by museopen.org. Go.animation has been done by Jack Robotham. Poetry Quest game, also by Jack Robotham. This production is copyright 2025. No Krell were harmed during the production of this stream. Thanks, folks. I look forward to seeing you again next time, when hopefully we'll have a bit more understanding about what happened to the Krell outpost 21372. For now, though, and since we've got such a small group with us today, I think we won't do a raid out. So for now, I'll simply wish you all a fine so long, farewell, and thanks for all the fish.